Good morning. Welcome to In Lynnwood on this beautiful, sunny, very cold morning. This is the silent meditation time. I'm Barbara Thorpe, prayer chaplain. Thank you for your presence, whether in person or virtually. I invite you to prepare for meditation. However you prepare for meditation. Remove anything from your lap and gently close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so. Be present with your body. Breathe into your sacred being, where all answers reside. When you breathe in, picture yourself sinking more and more deeply into the center of your body. Allow all noise around you to fade away. If thoughts come, which they will, or noise disturbs, breathe in, sinking deeper and deeper into your sacred body, your divine self. Sit in the stillness, in the silence. Listen. Be present with your soul, your sacred self, in the silence, in the silence. gently breathe in. Breathe a little deeper and thank your sacred self. From your divine self, bless this sanctuary and all who enter. If you're home, bless your sacred space and all who may enter it. We send love to all the volunteers serving today. Thank them. If one comes to mind, just send love to them from your heart. We send love and light and joy to Reverend Richard and Matthew as they vacation. May they be renewed. May they know they are loved and appreciated. Honor yourself right now. Love and appreciate yourself for the gift of silence you gave your sacred being. And so it is, and so it is. Move your feet a little and open your eyes when you're ready to bring your loving presence into our community.
Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to the present moment, here to a new beginning, here, and I'm seeing life so clearly now. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul.
If you'd like to close your eyes, please do. Settle into your seat and take a breath. Let go of everything that no longer serves you. Breathe in the good. Winter is upon us. As I venture outside, the cold, frigid air runs through me and braces me to attention. I look around and I see the beauty of the small amount of snow that has fallen, and it brings on a smile. I see God's handiwork as I witness the glistening snow in the trees, having snowflakes fall on my face for a few moments because I need to go inside to warm up. Before I go, I look at the clear blue sky and take in the stillness and the quietness of the early morning. I feel God's presence, and I say, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for this day. Thank you, God, for all the love that you give us every day. I pray for everyone going through a challenging time. I pray for everyone going through illness and poor health. Keep on praying for faith. It is through prayer that you develop all your wonderful qualities of soul. Myrtle Fillmore, Unity co-founder. I am grateful to be in a church that has a community of kind and loving and caring people. We are family. Let us send prayers of safe travels to Dr. Richard and Matthew.
Here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. All right, and now if you'll join me in singing in our youth. You are the light, you are the light, you are the light in this world. You are the light, you are the light, you are the light in this world. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine so bright. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine so bright. You are the light, you are the light, you are the light in this world. You are the light, you are the light, you are the light in this world. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine so bright. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine so bright.
Good morning. Happy New Year. We're running out of space on the platform, and so I just have to say yay. I just have one announcement before I bring Ollie up to do the youth and family announcements today, and that is that the youth and family staff will be going on a regional youth team conference the last weekend in January. We're really excited about it. This is where we get a lot of ideas, share our ideas, and get ready for the whole new year of youth and family. So kids are still welcome to come, and it's going to be a really fun movie day in Friendship Hall while we are away. And now I'm going to bring up Ollie for some announcements.
Hello. So Teen Night is on February 1st from 6:30 to 8:30. All youth are welcome, and we just plan events and hospitality. Hospitality is today. It is hospitality. Yay. All love offerings go to the youth, and they help pay for trips and lock-ins and tea nights and us. Yeah, today's also Colin's birthday. So, happy birthday to Colin. And that's all I was told to say.
If you would please rise as you are able and join me in blessing our youth. You are the light of love in this world. You are the light of kindness in this world. Let it shine so bright.
All right, thanks. And as the youth are leaving, if those who are able to stand and just greet each other. We are the light, we are the light, we are the light in this world. We are the light, we are the light, we are the light in this world. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine so bright. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine so bright. We are the light, we are the light, we are the light in this world. We are the light, we are the light, we are the light in this world. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine so bright. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine so bright.
Hello and good morning. I am Frances Johnson, your welcome host. It's wonderful to see you on this bright wintry day. Welcome everyone here in the sanctuary, and to anyone that's new, we love that you're here. A warm welcome to our online family. We have people tuning in from Lynnwood, around the country, and around the world, especially Africa. Our community is inclusive, diverse, and respects the dignity of all people from different backgrounds, races, and sexual orientations. Unity in Lynnwood welcomes people from all spiritual traditions or no spiritual tradition whatsoever. I always enjoy the hospitality I receive when I come here to church. I may get a bear hug that brings a big smile, an elbow bump, and an enthusiastic hello. We like your unique self and individuality. Welcome to Unity in Lynnwood, where our hearts are open, kindness flows, and joy surrounds us. And now we have Amanda Birdsall for a special song and with our fantastic band.
Thanks. It's a joy to be here singing for you today. And this is just a special song that means a lot to me about sort of awakening to that one power and divine presence in our lives and letting that empower us. And I felt like it was also a good fit for Martin Luther King Day as well. So this is called I Stand Up by Sloan Wainwright. From the tree had sheltered me when I should have been growing there underneath on earth so sweet, so soft, perfect for sleeping. I felt the summer sun kiss my skin, rekindle the hungry flame within, and through the light of that transcendent fire strode my desire. From that tree had nourished me while I thought I was learning how to survive, how to provide regardless of the yearning. I let the cold autumn rain top of the mountain, and I stand up high and unfold my wings. When I stand up high and unfold my wings. Crow in the tree, she scolded me about my small perspective, for she has flown above all that I have known, below what I neglected. When I heard the clean spring wind speak my name, I arose to face the change. No more use for the elder way. I found my strength. I stand up, ready to be counted. I stand up, prepared to sing. I stand up, I set my sight to the top of the mountain, and I stand up, I unfold my wings. I stand up, I unfold my wings.
Thank you. That was beautiful. I'd like to introduce Reverend Dr. Jennifer Lovejoy. She is a frequent speaker at Unity in Lynnwood, a lifelong New Thought student. She is ordained in a non-denominational Christian ministry in 1999 and has been attending UIL since 2003. She currently serves as chair of UIL's Board of Trustees. She has a PhD in biopsychology from Emory University and works in the health and wellness field.
Thank you, Frances, and good morning, everybody. I want to say a welcome to those of you here and also a welcome to all of you online. I see a few more empty chairs in the sanctuary. I think the ice and snow and roads have maybe kept a few more people at home. So if you are at home, go ahead and put your name, introduce yourself, and we'll welcome you in a moment. But as Frances mentioned, Dr. Richard and Matthew are traveling. They are taking a well-earned vacation in Puerto Vallarta, where I imagine it's quite a bit warmer than the 19 degrees it was at my house this morning. This is why I don't live in the Midwest, people. Come on, Washington. But we are very blessed with the beautiful sunshine, the cold, and the mostly clear roads. So we are doing, I think, a lot better than a lot of the rest of the country right now. So we're grateful for that. So we've got some folks online. We've got Pascaline from Nairobi. Hi, Pascaline. Delari, Mullen, Meredith, Lori, Dale. So let's welcome our online audience by turning to this camera over here and saying hi to the beautiful Fran. Hi, Fran. And we'll greet our online audience saying, we see you. We see you. We love you. We love you. We bless you. And we see the perfection of you this morning. Welcome. Well, it is indeed a glorious day in Lynnwood. And so we're going to begin, as we always do, by looking at our mission statement. And we've, as you've heard, started this back in 2014 to really define what it is that we do here at Unity in Lynnwood. So our mission statement is practical spirituality, welcoming community. And we support that with a number of statements, and you've heard these before, so see how they resonate with you. Every time I say them, I get a bit of a different perspective on how they resonate. We offer a metaphysical teaching which encourages regular spiritual practice, including prayer, meditation, affirmation, denial, service, and study. Sound good? Work for you? Okay. So our opening invocation, which now, as you heard last week, also includes our new mission statement. Feel free to read along with this, to let the words just roll over you and close your eyes and take it in silently, however you like to receive this invocation. Though imaged and named variously, there is a singular and eternal ground of being from which all life emanates and into which all life retreats. We choose to call this ground of being God. By extension, we come to understand that we are spiritual in nature, human in expression, and limitless in potential. We gather today to remember such truths, to celebrate our unity, and to honor all life. Okay, we need to do something about that. Is that from this?
Let's have you switch to the podium.
Will do. Okay, yeah, let's not do that anymore. Is this better? Okay. So, we are here on this Martin Luther King weekend celebrating the amazing life and amazing work of that gentleman. So I thought I would start today with a quote from Martin Luther King. It's an interesting one. It was not one that I had run across before, but it was a good opening for what I'd like to talk about today. So this is actually a quote from Dr. King's Nobel Prize lecture, Peace Prize lecture in 1964. He said, "Every person lives in two realms, the internal and the external. The internal is that realm of spiritual ends expressed in art, literature, morals, and religion. The external is that complex of devices, techniques, mechanisms, and instrumentalities in which we live. Our problem today is that we've allowed the internal to become lost in the external. We've allowed the means by which we live to outdistance the ends for which we live. If we are to survive today, our moral and spiritual lag must be eliminated." And I love that quote because it really gets to what I think is the essence not only of all of our spiritual quest, but really our lives. It's balancing that internal and that external and figuring out how we come to grasp with that dance. And it is an ongoing dance, right? So if you will bear with me for a little bit here, I want to focus on the external side for a moment before we get to the internal side, which of course, as Dr. King recommends, is where we need to be focused. And so I've been working in the health and wellness industry for many, many years. And it's not a surprise, I'm sure, to anybody in this room that our healthcare industry has a problem and is not really working very well. There was a book that came out in late 2022 called The Myth of Normal by a physician named Gabor Mate, M-A-T-E. And in it, he talks at length about the problems in our healthcare system and the way he sees it as related to some of the challenges of not connecting mind and body. So he points out at great length the statistics around this. We just don't look very good in this country, despite having the most expensive medical system in the world. Over 60% of US adults have one chronic disease, and 40% or so have two or more. 70% are taking at least one prescription medicine, and over 20% have a mental health diagnosis. And I should note that some of those numbers are from before the pandemic, and things have not gotten better in the last couple years. So, we look around at the health of our nation, the health of our communities, the health of our friends and families, and think, something is wrong. Now, in addition, Mate points out, it's not just that we have really high rates of these, but the rates have been increasing significantly over time. Rates of asthma, ADHD, autism, autoimmune disease, Alzheimer's, diabetes, all of those have gone up dramatically in the last 50 years. And we could say, well, the environment has changed, and it has. You know, our food is not as healthy, we don't get as much exercise as we used to, there's a lot of things that are going on there, or maybe it's because we're just getting better at diagnosing some of these things, and there's a little bit of truth to that, but it doesn't explain everything, and I'll go into that a little bit more in a moment. But the bigger problem is actually that we do not recognize and acknowledge this problem. It's become our normal. It has become the typical state, and as a result, when things become normal, they go off of our radar. There's an old joke that talks about two young fish that are swimming along, doing their thing, and they run across an old grandfather fish as they're swimming, and the grandfather fish jovially cries out, and he goes, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" And the little fish keeps swimming along, and after a bit, one turns to the other and goes, "What the heck is water?" Okay? That's a little bit of the situation we are in, according to Mate's research. And I had an incident when I was a graduate student in Atlanta that actually struck home for me related to that. I was studying diabetes, and particularly studying the prevention of type 2 diabetes and doing research on that. And I was talking, actually it happened to be the minister of the church that I was attending at that time. Very smart man, very savvy man, and he was asking about my work and what I was studying, and I told him it was about prevention of diabetes, and he got this really weird look on his face. And he said, "Prevention?" Of course, in the South, they call diabetes the sugar, right? So he said, "Everybody just gets the sugar after they turn 50, right? I mean, that's how it is in my family." It was just, his assumption was, everyone's gonna get it, so why would you even think about it? Why would you talk about prevention? And so, yes, to some extent, the statistics would support his statement. The rates of diabetes are higher in the Southeast United States than they are in other places like Washington, although still high. But it was normal for him. It was the water that he was swimming in, that everyone just gets diabetes at some point once they turn 50. So you can see how that sort of a mindset, an acceptance of that normal, even though it's not really healthy, could become, in some ways, a self-fulfilling prophecy, or at least could stop you from doing some of the things that you might be able to do to prevent it. So in Mate's book, The Myth of Normal, he suggests that this epidemic of chronic disease is actually related to trauma from our toxic culture, and also failing to recognize the impact of mind on the body in medicine, in our Western medical system. If you watch any of his talks on YouTube, it's very interesting because he'll often start out by asking the audience, he'll say, how many of you have seen some kind of a medical specialist in the last 5 years? And many people will raise their hands. A cardiologist, a gastroenterologist, a neurologist, a dermatologist. Everyone's like, yeah, I've done that. And then he said, so, okay, keep your hands up. I'm not asking you to do this. This is what he does online. He said, okay, how many of you, when you saw those specialists, had them ask you about your life? Had them ask you how you were feeling about yourself and your life? Were you experiencing stress? Do you love your work? How are things in your family? And of course, pretty much everybody's hands go down because we don't talk about that in medicine. And that indeed is probably a big piece of why we don't have the kinds of results in our current healthcare system that we might be able to have. One of the statistics that he cites that I think really shows this dramatically is the change in the rates of multiple sclerosis over time. And of course, multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disease. It affects the brain. It's a terrible disease. It causes muscular problems and eventually death. Very little in the way of effective treatments for it. Back in the 1930s or 1940s, the ratio of the incidence of MS in men to women was 1-to-1. Men and women were equally likely to get MS. Today, that ratio is 3-to-1, women to men, and it continues to rise. Now, there is nothing in our genetics, our environment, toxins, exposure, nothing like that, that anyone can really give to explain why that sex difference in MS has occurred and changed so dramatically in the last 50 years. Mate contends it is because women are often the sort of keepers and the managers of emotion. We take on the stress of our families. We often embrace that and try to balance those things out. And of course, in the last 50 years, we also entered the workplace. Now, he's not saying that women in the workplace is a bad thing, but he is noting that when you are taking on the stress of your families, and usually even when women are working, that doesn't go away, and the stress of your workplace, and the other things that are going on certainly in our culture, that may have a bigger impact on women's bodies than on men's bodies, and perhaps that is an explanation for that change. So he talks a lot about trauma. And I think for many of us, when we think about trauma, we think about big stuff. We think about natural disasters, and we think about wars, and we think about violence, and those certainly are traumatic. But trauma actually pervades our culture. And the way it tends to get described by experts in this field is big T trauma, capital T trauma, and little t trauma. So the capital T traumas are those really big things that unfortunately happen to some of us. They may not happen to all of us. But the little t traumas are the things that pretty universally impact us. Often in childhood, and it can be really simple things that just happen to strike us the wrong way. A parent ignores us at the wrong time or says a harsh word because they've had a bad day, and for whatever reason, in that moment, we take that in and it stays with us. And that really is the difference between trauma and stress. We're all gonna have stress, and stress, may even be pretty significant stress, but if we don't hold it in ourselves, if it doesn't limit us physically or psychologically, it wouldn't be defined as trauma. Trauma is that stuff that we hold onto. And when it's unresolved, and this is key and what we're going to talk about, it holds us back and it constricts us and it prevents us from connecting because we're closed. We're closed off out of safety, out of protection. This is the coping mechanism that we develop when we're young or when we're older, when we experience it. There's a quote from a psychologist, Peter Levine, that says, "All trauma is about a loss of connection to ourselves, to our families, and to the world around us." So trauma disconnects us from our bodies. It splits us off from our gut feelings. And it takes us out of the present moment. There's a reaction that the body has when we experience stress or trauma. I'm sure it's very familiar to you. Fight, flight, or freeze, right? Those are the things that our nervous system automatically does when we have a stress. We either fight, resist against it, we're angry, right? We're ready to go. We run away, and often that looks like just simply avoidance or withdrawal if it's not a physical situation. Or we freeze, we shut down. And what current research has shown is that if we do fight or flight too many times, although that may be the first level of our response to it, we get stuck in freeze. If we've had trauma as a child, we frequently are stuck in freeze. And it's a nervous system phenomenon. This is not anybody's fault. This is a coping mechanism that has become embedded in the body to deal with this. And why this is particularly important now, apart than I think, we do all deal with these things and we have this, is that, in case anyone was snoozing, we have just lived through a 3-year global pandemic that is not over yet, that has involved really significant changes, a lot of loss, economic problems, social problems, and we're all traumatized by that. And when I look around and I see what at least to me looks like a fairly excessive level of craziness in the outer world, I think, wow, this is exactly what you would expect from people who've been traumatized and are not recognizing it. They're swimming in the water and they don't know that they're swimming in the water. They have become disconnected, they are threatened, they are angry, that's that fight response, and this is how you're reacting. So here we are in Dr. King's external world of stuff that's going on that maybe doesn't look so good. So how do we use our internal practices to really address that? So the first step is simply awareness. Know that you're swimming in water as a fish. That is why Dr. Mate wrote this almost 600-page book. I was going to bring it, but I didn't want to do the bicep workout this morning. I mean, it is literally like this because he documents everything as to why this is such a problem, how it's impacting us, how it affects our rates of chronic disease. And we just have to know this. We have to say, yeah, this isn't normal. It may seem normal because it's happening everywhere, but it is not healthy. We are not thriving. Let's not accept that this is how it has to be. Step one. Step two, he talks a lot about authenticity. He calls it authenticity, but I think what he really means is honoring our needs. When a baby has a need, it cries. Maybe it screams. It lets you know that there's something, I'm hungry, I'm scared, I need to be changed, whatever it might be, that baby is expressing that. Of course, as we grow, and it doesn't take very long, we learn to not do that. We are socialized not to do that. And, it's not that we want to be having outbursts all the time, but we, unfortunately, as part of suppressing that sort of behavior appropriately as children, we often tend to suppress the needs. And particularly that's the case if our needs were not being met in our family of origin. That, it's like, well, okay, I just need to put that need down. Well, those needs are still there. And eventually those needs will be expressed in the body in some kind of way. So we need to know that. This was actually something in Mate's book that I found a little concerning, but I'm going to share it with you. There are a number of traits that are common in a majority of people who have chronic disease. It doesn't matter what kind of disease it is, which is interesting. This is crosses, and this has been shown in many, many studies. And here's a few of them. An automatic concern for the emotional needs of others while ignoring one's own. Externally focused, multitasking hyper-responsibility based on the conviction that one must justify one's existence by doing and giving. Repression of healthy self-protective aggression and anger. And harboring and acting out of two beliefs. I am responsible for how other people feel, and I must never disappoint anyone. I don't know about you guys, but when I read that, I thought, oh boy, I'm in trouble. I gotta acknowledge a few of these. Now I think I've dealt with a few of them over the years, but these are really common. And not only are they really common, but often they tend to be reinforced by our culture, right? We're supposed to be strong. We're supposed to be independent. We're not supposed to be needy. We're not supposed to be clingy. We're supposed to take care of other people, especially if we're female, and, let their needs go first. So, but these are things that are very legitimate. And again, the research has shown across all these conditions, they show up. Now, importantly, this is not a conscious choice. If any of these resonated with you, it's not like you set out and said, oh, I think I will be this way. These are buried coping mechanisms that at the time they came up were perfect. They were exactly what you needed to do in whatever situation that was. The problem is when they remain after that situation is gone. And often, again, that's a childhood to adult situation. So the third practice then is forgiveness. Forgiveness, of course, is a core spiritual practice, but, Mate says any movement toward wholeness begins with the acknowledgement of our own suffering and the suffering of the world, without getting caught up in it. We're not talking victimhood, but just saying, to be human, this is very Buddhist, it's kind of to suffer. Suffering is part of this human world. So when we are hurt, or when we have hurt others, we're blocking the flow of love. And really, love as spiritual beings is what we're here to do. So forgiveness is an essential practice for that. So here's an idea. If you're willing to experiment with me for just a moment, we're going to do a little forgiveness practice. And I invite you, in fact, I would say, please do not pick something big that you need to forgive right now. Pick something small. The guy who cut you off in the road, the checker who was maybe a little surly with you and you felt hurt, and, pick something small. But go ahead and just, identify something, close your eyes, And just let yourself feel that. Go back to that moment and identify what it is that you're feeling. Maybe it's hurt, maybe it's rejection, maybe it's anger. And keeping in mind that often underneath the anger is some sense of hurt or betrayal. But just kind of breathe with that for a moment. And then notice what you might have put on top of that actual incident in terms of blame or resentment, adding fuel to the fire. And if you can, stop bemoaning your fate and simply say, yes, yes, this is how it is. I see it. I sit with it. And just take a deep breath and come on back. And what you'll find, and of course there are many wonderful forgiveness practices out there. This is one. If you do this repeatedly, eventually the noise, the tension around whatever that event was that got you riled up just quiets down. And you come to a sense of, oh, it's done. I'm done with that. That's what forgiveness feels like. When there's just no emotional energy attached to whatever. It doesn't change the event. It doesn't excuse the event if someone behaved badly. But you're not being pulled. And when you're not being pulled, your heart becomes more open to love and to expressing that love. Lastly, the power of imagination. So Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore talked about our 12 powers, and one of those was imagination. And in fact, Fillmore said, usually when people start on the spiritual path, imagination is one of the first of the 12 powers that arises because it is so crucial for all of the others. We have to start to see beyond this 3D reality, right? Imagination is what allows us to have ideals, to feel passionately about concepts like justice and freedom and love that we can't measure. We can't measure those things. You can't put a percentage or a data point on any of those things, and yet how powerful they are. Well, that's because our minds have that capacity of imagination to be able to see that. Imagination is not wishful thinking. It's not trying to pretend that the world is not the way it is. It's accepting that and knowing that there is so much more. So this is how we use denials in unity. Again, not denying the reality, but saying, I deny that this is all there is. There's more than this. I know there's more than this. And I deny that this, whatever it is in this earthly world, has power over me in this moment. That's what I deny, not the reality of it. There was a great example I was reading from a teacher on this about binocular vision, okay? If you're fortunate enough to have two eyes, and I actually used to have a good friend who couldn't see out of one eye, and so I know what it's like to only be able to see out of one eye. You lose depth perception, right? You can still see. My friend could still see perfectly well. He could drive, but he didn't have depth perception, which made it hard. So if we apply this in the spiritual way, the way we live in this three-dimensional world, human world, it's like we're only seeing with one eye. It's real, it's there, but we're not seeing the whole picture. We need that binocular vision in order to be able to see, or begin to see. We never are going to see it fully, but to begin to see the whole reality. And without that, what do we have? We don't want to just have this. This is what really brings us into the fullness of who we are and our divine potential as humans. So something that I found really helpful in working with this is actually from Buddhist teachings. And it is called either the three treasures or sometimes the three refuges in Buddhism. And refuge is from the Latin root that means to return to the nest. We return to our truest and best nature when we have refuge, that place of ultimate security. So the first refuge in this Buddhist teaching is they say that take refuge in the Buddha. I think in Christian traditions we would say we take refuge in the Christ presence or in God. And what this really means is, we turn back to those practices. We turn back to prayer. We turn back to meditation. We connect with God. There was a wonderful reading in the Daily Word this week for those of you who get the Daily Word. And if you don't, I encourage you to get a subscription. You can do that in the bookstore. And the word of the day was belong. And the lesson went on to talk about how when we get caught up in the busyness of life, we can often neglect our spiritual practices, and it gives us a sense of no longer feeling like we quite belong. And so we turn back in prayer to God. We turn to that refuge, and that is how we return to our belonging. So, having that true home in God is that first refuge and our foremost refuge, right? The most important one, because that is our true home. The second refuge in the Buddhist teachings is what they call Dharma. And Dharma is really just spiritual teaching, universal truths, sort of the path that we follow to get there. So that would be, maybe you read scriptural passages. Maybe you have a regular spiritual practice or something that tunes you into your center. It doesn't necessarily have to be just prayer or meditation. Maybe it's yoga. Maybe it's qigong. Maybe it's, something else that brings you to that center. And you read and discuss the truth teachings with others, which brings us to the third refuge, spiritual community. In Buddhism, they call it the Sangha. And this is what I really want to emphasize, given everything that I talked about with our disconnection and our trauma. Because what we know is that, and this is a quote from an amazing psychologist who studies the nervous system. He says, safety is not about a lack of threat, but a lack of connection. So let me say that another way. To feel safe, it's not so much about what's going on around us. What's going on around us might not seem very safe, but if we have connection, if we feel that we have people that we can trust, that we have friends that we can count on, people that we can call, we know that that makes a big difference. And that's why this community is so important, and being willing to open our hearts, to reopen our hearts after everything that we have lived through in the past 4 years and say, I'm willing to be here. I'm willing to show up. I'm willing to help and connect and serve. Because it's not only going to build the community, it's actually going to help you. It's going to help your body and your mind to be able to do this. So just to be aware that we have that loss of connection and that safety is really about connecting. So to wrap up, just what is going on today may be normal, but let's not embrace it. It's not healthy. It's not thriving, and we can thrive. And frequently the only reason that we are not thriving is just because we've accepted, oh, this is just how it is. Guess this is the way the world is. So let's not do that. Let's use awareness. Let's be aware of our own needs. Harder than it sounds, by the way. Easy to say, but not easy to do always. Forgive and connect. So let's just take that into a brief meditation. And close your eyes and get comfortable. Feet flat on the floor. And just allow yourself to breathe into your heart. Putting aside, as best you can, any thoughts of the past, thoughts of the future, just coming into this now moment where we are safe. Everything is peaceful around us. And just breathe into your heart. And now allow yourself to realize that all the other people in the sound in the realm that can hear my voice are also breathing into their hearts, whether they're in this room or online. And we're breathing together. We all share this experience of breathing. We share this experience of human life. And sometimes, yes, we all share this experience of pain. And knowing we are divine beings, we know there is way more to us than this human reality. We know that we are children of God. We know that we are blessed and prospered beyond measure, and that we are worthy of receiving that blessing. And so we just open our hearts to that abundance right now. We take it in. We're thankful, so thankful for being so loved and being able to offer our love in return. Surrounded and filled by that love, we say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen.
And thank you, Dr. Jennifer. It was amazing. I have found that among its other benefits, giving liberates the soul of the giver. Maya Angelou. We offer opportunities to practice giving and receiving that we might cooperate with the reciprocal nature of the spiritual universe. In other words, while your giving matters to us, we suggest your giving matter to you as well. UIL is committed to supporting our many virtual participants as fully as possible. UIL provides quality access to services, live and archived, classes, meetings, groups, and printed media. Should you, as a virtual participant, find value in UIL's offerings, please consider making a financial gift on the last Sundays of each quarter. May the power of your giving be revealed in your world in delightful ways. Always, we are honored by your shared journey. Electronic giving options will appear on your screen. For those choosing to give a physical gift, the ushers will gratefully pass baskets. If you would like information about UIL's programs of regular giving, planned giving, or legacy giving, please grab a giver circle, brochure, or write Dr. Richard directly. For those already participating, we extend a special thanks. Please join me in our affirmation as it appears on screen. I give freely and fearlessly, fulfilling the law of giving and receiving.
Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant.
we have any newcomers today? If you are here for the first time, please raise your hand. Well, well, anyway, thank you everyone for being here. And I'll just go over. If you haven't seen the Daily Word, this is our undated copy. And you can come back to see Marion in the Soul Things Books and Gift Store for a copy. You are invited, all of you, come to the Welcome and Information Station located in the back of the sanctuary. And I have a variety of booklets. I think these are so cool. We have a bunch of these at home. And you can come and choose them. They're right on the spinner in the back. They're lovely. So, and there's community information to take home. And I'll answer any questions that you have. And in the chair backs in front of you, there are informational cards. And so, credit card giving, prayer requests are a couple of them that you can look at. And also, as the youth said, come to the Friendship Hall. It's their Sunday, and you can catch up with friends and have some tasty snacks. And invitations. Please consider the offerings of UIL's small group and interfaith ministries as they appear on your screen. Okay. Please note the addition of a men's monthly group meeting facilitated by Glenn Moritz and the Monday evening Search for God group with Reverend Dr. Jennifer, Tom, and Fran. While we've accepted a friendly challenge from Unity of San Antonio and Unity of Austin, let us celebrate that countless souls in our communities will be the ultimate winners. Annual financials meeting Sunday, January 28th at 12:30 p.m. UIL's Board of Trustees invites you to attend. All are welcome to join in this presentation of UIL's 2023 fiscal performance, current position, and 2024 budget.
Thank you, Frances. Do we have some prayer chaplains today? I see Gail in the back and Barbara. So if anyone would like prayer after the service, if you're here in the room, please come up to the front and one of the prayer chaplains will be happy to meet with you. I believe we also have a divine wholeness session. No, not. Okay, I just go by my piece of paper. So that'll be the last Sunday of the month, but we will have prayer with the prayer chaplains up front. And if you're part of our virtual audience, please email prayer@unityinlynnwood.org. And a prayer chaplain will give you a call later on this afternoon. Include your phone number, please, so that they can do that. And we'll make sure that if you have a prayer need, that you get it. So let's go ahead and close with prayer today, as we always do, and just acknowledging that divine presence always with us, always filling us with that love that we experienced in the meditation. And we just give thanks for that. We give thanks for this community. We give thanks for all of those in service. We give thanks for all of those in service around the world who are selflessly caring for others while taking care of themselves. And so it is. Amen. And we will close, as we always do, with our benediction song.
May the Lord